Well, what would happen if I asked you to do this? Please make, this should be changed to a program, using the scanner that takes two numbers from a user, multiplies them, and displays the result. Well, this may sound a little scary. Please make a program using the scanner that takes two numbers from a user, multiplies them, and displays the result. The best way to do a program when it's a word problem, just the same way as the best way to do a math word program, is to take things and take it step by step and do each step in sequence. So of course the first thing you're going to have to do when you're making a new program in Java is to make your new class. You're going to want to call it multiply numbers, and you're going to want to make sure that you check off the public static void main string args box. So let's just refresh our memories on how to do that. New class, make sure you check off the public static void main string args, and you would call it multiply numbers, and I'm just going to call mine 2 since I already have one, and you would just click finish and there you would be. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. There's my class. Now the next thing you're going to have to do, whoopsie daisies, is you're going to have to import java util.scanner, okay? Because you're going to be using the Java class, the Java scanner, the little scanner, and I'm just going to copy and paste from another one that I've already made there. Of course, we're going to get our error code because we haven't actually used the scanner yet. Alright, so there's what we need to do there. Okay, now you're going to need to think about what it is you're actually trying to do here. Can you guys close the door or something? I'm trying to do a lesson plan in here. Guy and Rory, is there any way you could do that? Guy, could you please close the door? I'm trying to do a lesson plan in here.
Okay.
Alright, so the next, okay, so let's get back to where we were. Okay, so we imported Java util scanner. Alright. Alright, now think about what it is you're actually trying to do here. You are trying to take two numbers from a user. So that basically translates into two variables. You're going to multiply those two variables, but then you're going to need to display the result of that multiplication into some sort of believable fashion. This is starting to look like three variables. Alright, so let's just check that out. Set up your variables. I'm doing a lesson plan. Can you please quiet down? Thanks. How many will you need? You need one variable to hold the first number, a second variable to hold the second number, and a third variable to hold the result. Alright? And yes, if you come to my house and make a lot of noise when I'm doing a lesson plan, you too will get yelled at. The next thing that has to happen is you have to construct the scanner. Alright, remember when we talked about constructing a scanner, and in one of our last lessons we talked about the little extrusion machine. But let's set up our variables first. Okay, so let's set up the first variable. Let's get rid of the Java docs here. And let's get rid of the to-do auto-generated stub. So let's just be real creative here and call this int number1. And now I'm not going to initialize it because I'm going to take input from the user. So I don't want to set it equal to anything, because if I set it equal to 5, that would mean that it always had to be 5. I don't want to initialize it. I'm going to leave it that way until I get some input from the user. I'm going to set up my second integer, and I'm going to creatively call it int number2, my second variable. So now I have two variables. Now I need a third variable to display the result of the multiplication. So I'm going to go int. I'm going to use integers just because it's easier. If I wanted to do decimal point multiplication, I'd need to use doubles for this, okay? So int, and I'm just going to call it result. Int result. So this is looking pretty good so far. I've got three variables. I've got my import. And let's see what else might need to happen here. Alright, so we set up our variables. Okay, so we have to construct the scanner. Unlike using systemout.println, I don't have to construct anything to do this. When I go systemout.println, I don't have to construct the println. It's one of the weirder things about Java, and it's just something you have to accept. It's just a truth. I have to construct the scanner when I use it. I don't have to construct system out print. So I'm going to do that. And let's just do that. I've just now constructed a scanner called input device. Remember, we could have named this Susan. Our scanner could be named Susan if we wanted to. Let me leave it that way if you want. All right, now heading back over to our instruction list here. Create a prompt for the user telling them to enter the first number. Well, that would probably be a really good idea because the user is going to have absolutely no idea what to do in this instance unless we tell them what the whole point of this is. We've set up all of our integers, we've constructed a scanner, but there's no way for the user to actually know how to interact with this program. And in fact, the program wouldn't work at this point because there isn't, and also because we're not reading our variables. But all right, so let's look over here. So at this point, I'm just going to copy some code. System out print, please enter the first number. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. Please enter the first number. Now, once they enter that number, I don't want to go ahead and do this. The reason for that is because I need to do this in sequence. So once the person enters the first number, there has to be a way to gather that number from the user and store it in memory. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to use the scanner to do that. And I'm going to read that first integer. Number 1 equals input device dot next integer. So I'm just going to get the next integer. Remember, we need to name this Susan, don't we? Because our scanner is now named Susan for some reason. All right. Now we're going to repeat the exercise. And so essentially we could just copy this one right here. Put that down there. Change that to number 2. Now Susan is going to read the second number that the person enters in. All right? Now, obviously, once they've read those 2 numbers, now it's time for our machine to get to work here. So we're going to go result equals number 1 times number 2. That's going to be the result of our fabulous multiplication. Now I'm still not seeing, the result is still not read. Simply, we've used it in the multiplication. We've initialized it to a value, but we haven't actually read it. And by reading it, what I mean is we haven't actually printed it. Okay, now what do you think we're going to do here? We're going to do a little old system out, println, right? And let's just, for sake of quickness, since I've wasted a lot of audio time yelling at the people in my household, here we go. System out.println, the product is plus result. There you have it. So if I were to actually run this thing right now using the scanner, I have a prompt down in my console. Please enter the first number, 5. Now remember, you don't want to enter decimals here because it won't work. We have to use integers since I set up my variables as integers. Okay. Okay. Please enter the second number, 4. Well, lo and behold, it turns out the product of 5 times 4 is 20. All right. In our next episode, I don't think I actually recorded this, did I? Did I or not? Oh yeah. In our next episode, we'll do this with the dialog box.